She believed that love would find her if it was meant to be, but it would have to be a love that brought peace, not pressure. That love arrived during a major high-profile business merger. Apex Horizons was competing for a massive government-approved infrastructure contract to build a modern commercial freight hub near the international airport. To execute the project, Joy needed a strong partner in aviation logistics. Enter Vanguard Global, an international investment firm owned by Daniel. Daniel was a tall, handsome man in his late 30s with a deep, warm voice and gentle brown eyes. He was a self-made billionaire who had built his fortune in aviation, shipping, and real estate. But despite his enormous wealth, Daniel was remarkably humble, grounded, and polite. He treated everyone, from his security guards to corporate directors, with equal respect. Their first meeting took place in a glass conference room overlooking the city skyline. Joy presented the project framework for Apex Horizons. As she spoke, Daniel did not look at her like a man trying to intimidate a female competitor. He watched her with deep admiration. He was captivated by her sharp intellect, her composure, and the calm strength that radiated from her presence. After the meeting ended and the other executives filed out, Daniel lingered behind. "Madam Joy," he said, stepping forward with a warm smile. "That was one of the most brilliant strategic presentations I have ever witnessed. You didn't just present numbers, you built a complete vision." Joy smiled politely, gathering her files. "Thank you, Mr. Daniel. My team and I worked hard on it. Please, call me Daniel," he said gently. "And if you are free this evening, I would love to invite you to dinner. No business talk, just two people sharing a meal and good conversation." Joy looked into his eyes. She saw no deception, no arrogance, and no hidden games. She saw only honesty and quiet sincerity. "I would like that, Daniel," she replied softly. Their first dinner led to many more. Daniel courted Joy with patience, care, and absolute respect. Unlike Samuel, who always demanded center stage and shouted to feel important, Daniel was a quiet tower of strength. He listened when Joy spoke. He asked about her dreams, supported her business ideas, and celebrated her achievements without feeling threatened by her success. One rainy evening, as they sat by the glass window of a quiet restaurant, Daniel gently took Joy's hands in his own. "Joy," he said, his voice rich with emotion, "I know you have walked through deep fire in your past. You don't have to tell me every detail unless you want to. But I want you to know one thing. I don't love you for what you can give me or what you can build. I love you for who you are. You bring peace to my heart, and I want to spend the rest of my life protecting that peace." Joy looked at the man sitting across from her. There was no anxiety in her chest, no fear of judgment, and no bitter taste of insult. In Daniel's eyes, she saw her home. "I love you too, Daniel," she whispered, her heart overflowing with quiet joy. A year later, Joy and Daniel were married. They did not hold a loud, circus-like wedding to impress strangers. Instead, they organized a private, breathtakingly elegant ceremony at a private beachfront estate. Joy wore an exquisite lace gown that flowed around her like ocean foam, and Daniel stood at the altar in a crisp black tuxedo, watching her walk toward him with tears of gratitude in his eyes. Only true friends, respected business partners, and loving family members were present. It was a day filled with laughter, heartfelt prayers, and genuine love. 4 months after the wedding, Joy began to feel mild morning tiredness and a slight change in her appetite. Remembering her health routine, she visited Dr. Anthony at St. Nicholas Specialist Hospital. Daniel held her hand tightly as they sat in the examination room. Dr. Anthony applied the cool gel to Joy's stomach and placed the ultrasound probe against her skin. The screen lit up with gray and white patterns. The doctor looked closely at the monitor, his eyes widening slightly before a huge smile spread across his face. "Well, well, well," Dr. Anthony said. turning the screen so Joy and Daniel could see it clearly. "Look right here." Joy leaned forward, her heart beating fast. "What is it, doctor?" "There is not just one heartbeat, doctor," Anthony announced joyfully, pointing to the screen. "There are two distinct gestational sacs, two strong heartbeats. Madam Joy, you are carrying twins." Joy gasped, clutching her chest. "Twins?" "Yes," Dr. Anthony confirmed after checking the details carefully. "A boy and a girl, perfectly formed, perfectly healthy, and growing rapidly." Daniel let out a loud roar of pure happiness. He leaned over, wrapped his arms around Joy, and kissed her forehead again and again, his tears falling softly onto her cheeks. "Thank you, my love. Thank you, Lord," he whispered over and over. Joy lay on the examination bed, looking at the two tiny pulsing lights on the ultrasound screen. Tears streamed down her face, washing away every remaining memory of the dark years. 5 years of insults. 5 years of being called an Eileen, a barren woman, and a curse. 5 years of being thrown out into the dark night with a single suitcase. And now, God had not only given her a self-made empire and a king who cherished her, but he had also blessed her womb twice over in a single moment. Joy placed her hands over her belly and closed her eyes in deep, silent praise. Her transformation was complete. The phoenix had fully risen from the ashes, and no man on earth could ever tear her down again. While Joy's life was full of peace and double blessings, Samuel's life was falling apart in secret. Over the past 4 years, his business had hit heavy losses. Bad investments, poor management, and his own arrogance had drained his bank accounts. Yet, Samuel refused to live within his means. He still wanted the world to see him as a big man. To prove to the town that he was doing well, Samuel planned a lavish outdoor wedding. He was marrying a younger woman named Anita, whom he had courted quickly. Samuel emptied his remaining savings and took huge loans just to rent a high-end golf estate for the wedding reception. He wanted the event to be loud, expensive, and flashy. Mama Samuel was over the moon. Finally, she boasted to all her neighbors. "My son is marrying a young, fruitful flower, not like that useless woman who spent 5 years eating my son's money for nothing." A few weeks before the wedding, Samuel heard rumors from old mutual friends that Joy was doing okay for herself in the city. His proud heart burned. He could not accept that Joy might be happy without him. He wanted to crush her spirit one last time. "I will invite her," Samuel told his mother with a wicked laugh. "I want her to sit at the back of the venue and watch me kiss my new bride. I want her to see the big wedding she never had. Let her see what she missed out on." Samuel printed a heavy, gold-trimmed invitation card and had it delivered to Joy's old contact address. He made sure the card had big gold letters reading, "The Grand Royal Wedding of Samuel and Anita." He truly believed Joy would show up looking sad, broken, and full of regret. Mama Samuel waited eagerly for the wedding day, holding her breath to gloat in Joy's face. The wedding day arrived. The sky was bright blue, and the open lawn of the royal golf estate was decorated with grand white tents, fresh flowers, and expensive glass tables. Over 200 guests were seated, eating, drinking, and listening to loud music. Samuel stood at the head table wearing an expensive white suit, though his smile was stiff because the loan sharks were already calling his phone. Beside him sat Anita in a heavy lace dress. Mama Samuel sat in the front row, wearing a huge head wrap, looking around proudly to see if Joy had arrived. But Joy was nowhere to be seen. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was time for speeches. Samuel took the wireless microphone and stepped up to the center stage. He adjusted his jacket, cleared his throat, and put on a proud look. "Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests," Samuel began loudly, his voice echoing through the speakers. "Today is the happiest day of my life. A real man deserves a real woman. A fruitful woman who will build his home, not a curse who fills his house with silence and empty promises." Before he could finish his bitter sentence, a deep, heavy sound echoed from the sky. The wind suddenly whipped across the lawn, blowing decorative ribbons and tablecloths everywhere. The guests gasped, holding onto their plates as a giant, sleek, black and silver luxury helicopter descended from the clouds. The helicopter bore the bold gold crest of Vanguard Global Aviation. "What is happening?" Samuel shouted over the microphone, but his voice was drowned out by the roar of the blades. The helicopter hovered over the private landing pad right beside the main lawn and touched down with absolute grace. The heavy engine slowly turned off, leaving a stunned, breathless silence across the entire estate. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the wedding MC dropped his microphone. The side door of the helicopter slid open. A tall man in a sharp, tailored navy suit stepped out first. It was Daniel. He adjusted his dark sunglasses, turned around with total devotion, and held out his hand. Out stepped Joy. The crowd let out a collective gasp. Joy looked like an absolute queen. She wore an exquisite, custom emerald green silk gown that flowed like water around her legs. Her skin was glowing, her hair was styled to perfection, and diamonds sparkled softly at her throat. She did not look broken. She looked powerful, wealthy, and breathtakingly peaceful. Behind them, two smartly dressed personal nannies stepped out of the aircraft, each pushing a matching, high-end, luxury baby stroller. Inside the strollers sat two chubby, beautiful 8-month-old babies, a boy and a girl, dressed in designer white outfits. Mama Samuel's glass of wine slipped from her fingers, smashing into pieces on the green grass. Her eyes bulged out of her head, her mouth hanging wide open in pure...
Twins? Two babies?
Every phone in the venue went up in the air. Guests were filming, whispering, and pointing in total shock. "Is that not Samuel's ex-wife?" A woman in the front row whispered loudly. "The one they said was barren? Look at her. She has twins. And that man beside her is Daniel, the billionaire aviation mogul." Samuel stood on the stage, completely frozen. The microphone trembled in his hand. His face turned pale, all the color draining away as he stared at the woman he had thrown out into the dark night 5 years ago. Joy did not look at the crowd with anger. She walked across the manicured lawn with effortless elegance, her hand resting comfortably in Daniel's arm. Her face carried no bitter triumph, no desire to fight, and no hatred. There was only absolute, quiet composure. She walked straight toward the head table. The guests parted like the Red Sea, watching her every step in stunned silence. Samuel tried to speak, but his voice failed him. "Joy." He managed to choke out, looking like a man who had just seen a ghost. Joy stopped a few feet in front of the stage. She looked up at Samuel. Her clear, calm eyes met his panicked gaze. She saw right through his expensive white suit, right through his fake smiles, and saw the small, broken pride of a man who had built his life on lies. Joy did not shout. She did not insult his new bride. She reached into her luxury handbag, pulled out an elegant gold-embossed wedding card, and handed it gently to the chief usher standing beside the stage. Inside the card was a gift check written for a generous amount, a sum larger than Samuel's entire remaining bank balance. Joy looked Samuel dead in the eye. A soft, pitying smile touched her lips.
Congratulations on your wedding. Brought a gift for you and your new bride.
Joy, whose children?
I wish you peace, Samuel. Truly.
She turned to Mama Samuel, who was shaking in her chair, unable to meet Joy's eyes. Joy gave a gentle nod of her head. "Stay well, Mama." With that, Joy turned her back on them. She did not look back once. She walked back toward Daniel, who wrapped a protective arm around her waist. Together, they walked toward their waiting children and stepped back into the helicopter. Within minutes, the helicopter's blades roared to life again, lifting gracefully into the afternoon sky and disappearing into the clouds. On the ground, the wedding was ruined. Guests were talking loudly, showing each other the videos on their phones. Samuel slumped down onto his chair, his head in his hands. In that single quiet moment, the full weight of his foolishness crashed down upon him. He had thrown away a queen, a self-made empire, and the mother of healthy twins, all to protect his fragile ego. He sat surrounded by his unpaid wedding bills, totally destroyed. 6 months later, the afternoon sun cast a warm golden light over the terrace of a grand private estate. Joy sat in a comfortable wicker chair, holding a warm cup of herbal tea. In the lush green garden below, Daniel was down on his knees, laughing loudly as their twin toddlers, a boy named David and a girl named Divine, crawled happily across the grass toward him. Their bright laughter filled the warm air. Joy leaned back and took a deep, peaceful breath. Her mind traveled back briefly to that dark night 5 years ago, the cold floor, the shattered glass, the bitter insults of a mother-in-law, and the lonely walk into the dark with a single suitcase. She remembered the pain, the tears, and the quiet vow she had made to herself. My God will fight for me. And he had. He had taken her broken pieces and built an empire. He had taken her tears and turned them into double blessings. She felt no hatred for Samuel or his mother anymore. Hatred required energy, and Joy's heart was too full of love to waste space on the past. Daniel looked up from the grass, his eyes shining with deep love as he met her gaze. "Come down, my queen," he called out with a warm smile. "The babies are waiting for their mother." Joy placed her teacup on the small table and stood up. A gentle breeze blew across the terrace, lifting the edge of her dress. Joy smiled, stepped down into the sunlit garden, and embraced the beautiful life she had earned.